On this accord, P0087 means the direct injection fuel rail pressure is being seen as too low. The car may have a hard start, stumble, low power, rough running, or set the light when the operating conditions line up. Broadly, this can involve a possible low-pressure fuel supply issue, a high-pressure pump or spill valve issue, a fuel rail pressure sensor signal issue, leaks, wiring or terminal problems, or related fuel and ignition faults that are setting at the same time. Before chasing P0087 by itself, start with the basic system checks and follow a structured diagnostic approach. First, capture the stored operating data and any onboard snapshots with the HDS. If the vehicle ran out of fuel installed before this code set, refuel it, clear the code, and recheck it. Also look for any fuel leak before continuing because a leak can set this code. And if other related codes are stored at the same time, especially fuel pressure sensor, injector, misfire, ignition, air fuel, or control-related faults, diagnose those first. Then come back and recheck P0087. Start by trying to verify the problem at idle. With the HDS, clear the code, start the engine, and warm it up by holding engine speed at 3,000 RPM with no load, automatic in P or N, manual in neutral, until the radiator fan comes on. Then let it idle and run the dye fuel pressure test from the inspection menu. If that test result is okay, move to a test drive under the captured conditions. If it is not okay, go straight into the spill valve operation check. If the idle check passes, test drive the vehicle for several minutes while matching the captured conditions as closely as possible. Engine speed, vehicle speed, map, throttle position, accelerator position, coolant temperature, and intake air temperature. Then check for pending or confirmed P0087 with the HDS. If P0087 returns, the failure is duplicated and you continue to the spill valve check. If P0087 does not return, treat it as intermittent. At that point, the system is okay at this time. Test PGM-Fi main relay 2, and if the relay checks okay, inspect for poor connections or loose terminals at the fuel rail pressure sensor, the high-pressure fuel pump, and the PCM. With the engine running at idle, listen and feel for noise or vibration from the spill valve on the high-pressure fuel pump. If the pump is operating, you should hear some noise from that spill valve. If noise or vibration is present, continue to the first fuel rail pressure sensor check. If there is no noise or vibration, the diagnostic path supports replacing the high-pressure fuel pump, then verifying the repair. Next, shut the vehicle off and remove PGM-Fi main relay 2 from the underdash fuse and relay box. Start the engine and let it idle until it stalls. After it stalls, crank the engine several times. Then watch fuel pressure converted from PF sensor on the HDS. It is normal if the value shows several hundred kPa before this check, but during this check the value should change to about 0 kPa. If it does, continue to the second sensor comparison check. If it does not, the diagnostic path supports replacing the fuel rail, meaning the fuel rail pressure sensor, then verifying the repair. Reinstall PGM-Fi main relay 2, start the engine and warm it up again at 3,000 RPM with no load, automatic in P or N, manual in neutral, until the radiator fan comes on. Then let it idle. On an automatic, shift to D while holding the brake firmly, then press the accelerator pedal. Do not move the shift lever or take your foot off the brake while raising engine speed. On a manual, snap the throttle several times and use line graph setup mode on the HDS to compare the values. Compare fuel pressure converted from PF sensor to fuel pressure direct injection system. If both values are almost the same, the fuel rail pressure sensor is okay, and you move to the low pressure side fuel pressure check. If they are not almost the same, the diagnostic path supports replacing the fuel rail, meaning the fuel rail pressure sensor, then verifying the repair. Now check fuel pressure on the low pressure side. If the fuel pressure is okay, the low pressure side is considered okay, and you move on to the high pressure fuel pump visual check. If the fuel pressure is not okay, check the fuel pump, fuel pressure regulator, fuel filter, and fuel lines. Then verify the repair. If the low-pressure side passes, remove the high-pressure fuel pump and visually inspect the cam that drives the pump and the pump roller for wear or damage. If those parts are okay, the diagnostic path supports replacing the high-pressure fuel pump, then verifying the repair. If the parts are not okay, check the cam and roller damage, then verify the repair. Keep verification separate from the testing steps. Turn the ignition on, reset the PCM with the HDS, and perform the PCM idle learn procedure. Then run the dye fuel pressure test again and check for pending or confirmed codes with the HDS. If P0087 is still indicated, check for poor connections or loose terminals at the fuel rail pressure sensor, the fuel rail pressure control valve, and the PCM. Then pause. Recheck the earlier diagnostic path and avoid guessing. If P0087 is not indicated, troubleshooting for this code is complete. If any other pending or confirmed codes remain, diagnose those separately. The takeaway on P0087 is to prove whether the low rail pressure is real, sensor-related, supply-related, or a high-pressure pump control problem before calling the part. Capture the conditions, duplicate the fault, compare the pressure signals, confirm low side supply, inspect the pump drive, and then verify the code stays gone. For more diagnostic training, visit stepdiagnostics.com.